Hello and welcome once again. This is Mark and I'm going to be doing some art, reacting to some videos, giving some of my thoughts. So without further ado, let's just get started. Hello. I like watching, or I have seen a lot of this channel's videos, China Insider. Mostly like within the past couple of months, it seems like I've been getting a lot of his videos recommended to me. And there's always something interesting because of all the very different things that go on in China.
苏菲啊，看一下，你看看这个。
This video has become the latest controversy in China. Some brands used recycled cotton from the likes of cigarette butts and other used cotton material to make feminine pads. And some videos show that the pads show a yellow color under a light. The ones I checked with my wife are not that color here in the US. So this started a pads by...
Why was it red though? That was interesting. Oh. I'll be honest, I have no clue. Maybe that's the color. Maybe that's the correct color.
buying frenzy among girls in China and also in Japan too. This video describes the day in the life of a Chinese woman.
早上在黑心棉被里醒来，然后换上一片毒卫生巾，用砒霜眼影化个妆，贴个甲醛假睫毛，上班困一天，穿上一片毒卫生巾，用砒霜眼影化个妆。
Oh man, I put it fast because I thought I could keep up. But no, I can't. I'm a slow reader. Wake up in a dirty cotton blanket. Oh
黑
geez.
心棉被里醒来，然后换上一片毒卫生巾，用砒霜眼影化个妆，
Do makeup with arsenic eyeshadow. Oh jeez.
贴个甲醛假睫毛，上班困一天，穿上货不对版的网购女装，喝一杯勾兑豆浆，2个淋巴肉做的包子，中午点个尿素袋做的僵尸肉
What? Does that even mean urine bags?
套餐一份，下班路上
Zombie meat. I don't even know what most of this stuff is referring to.
在不满摄像头的换衣间拍个
Oh my
OOTD，
God
和姐妹约着一起做全卷美甲、洗剃空指甲，回到全是甲醛的轻装修家里，晚上再用夺命碗吃个没有木薯粉的木薯粉，再加一根古尼。
Oh boy. I mean, we're not that much better here in the US. Let's be real. A lot of the things in our homes do contain a lot of toxins. And funny enough, a lot of them do come from China too.
泥做的淀粉肠，
And a girl streamer has been embroiled in a controversy that allegedly offended the honor of Chinese sports. Okay, so today's video will either be called a feminist or a sexist in the comment. Let's see which one I get caught.
Both at the same time. You're sexist, feminist.
More. And actually, thinking about that, maybe wait. All right, so you got to put the hair in the bun. It's not long enough. So yeah, I don't know if this covers the mansplaining part or the feminism part. I don't know. Okay. Again, let me know in the comments which one I'll get. Wu Liufang is a former Olympic gymnast who became a live streamer doing revealing dances. And when another former gymnast commented in one of her videos about this thirst trap, saying that it was inappropriate for athletes, Wu's Douyin account actually exploded with more followings. But then, of course, the bad news came. Her account got suspended in terms of new follows, and she likely got spoken to by authorities, and she made an apology video and deleted some of the revealing dance videos that she had. And of course, she got put through an online struggle session for this. Yeah, allegedly bringing shame to Chinese sports, because you know that's apparently the most shameful thing, not the Peng Shuai situation, right, where the tennis star was literally sexually abused. That's apparently not shameful enough. Anyway, so is sexy dancing in China banned? No. Is being an influencer from an athlete bad? No. But if you're Miss Wu, who apparently carries the role of both, then that's troublesome and you should feel ashamed for yourself. That's what they're saying. Now, she wasn't even the only retired athlete to do this. This is another one. She's a former fencer named Qin Xue. She also became an internet celebrity doing the so-called skirting the edge videos or thirst trap videos. In response to the criticism, she says that she doesn't care about the fame, she just wants to make money. She has a 3-year-old daughter to take care of.
Okay, as I'm editing this video,
I mean, sometimes it just be like that. Oy, sounds rough.
a third athlete has been accused of thirst trapping. She's a former swimmer, and she says that, am I supposed to swim in a winter jacket? This is getting crazy.
And I think the better question to ask, rather than blaming them, is why can't the Chinese government take care of their star athletes? So through today's video, I want to address something that's been on my mind and been wanting to talk about for a very long time, which is China has failed its women. Before we get started though, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we have a lot of these thought-provoking videos about China every single week, as well as it's almost the end of the year. If you want to help support the channel, consider checking out our donation link. We work with a nonprofit that abides by the 501c3 in the United States, so that it is tax deductible for your contribution. So if you want to support the channel, it will help us push out better videos, get equipment, gears, and all those things, and even travel to different places. So yeah, check out the link in the description. All right, let's continue. Now, when it comes to women, or the role of women in China in contemporary history, so after 1949 when the CCP took power, well, it's a very long and complicated topic. But let's just try to keep it simple. This is how girls looked like in the 1960s and 70s. And then when reform and opening up happened in the 80s, well, the sudden increase or inflow of materialistic values into the Chinese society, people were essentially drunken on the ideas that they need to make a lot of money. So naturally, with the gender imbalance issues, with the one-child policy focusing more on boys than girls, a lot of these became increasingly dramatic in terms of their severity. Now, you've likely heard of some terms like the leftover women population, right? These people who haven't been married in their 30s. Or even another term called no girls or nowhere girls. Serpent ZA actually did a really great video on this, but these are the girls who won't conform their values or their actions to that of the men's standards. And so obviously they don't fit into this trend of society, and so China, or at least a certain part of China, leaves them behind. Now, these are relatively good terms. They're not great terms, but they're relatively good to describe. China also does this where they categorize different populations, right? Because that's how the CCP works, or that's how really the communist tactics work. They divide and conquer. So they need to categorize and group people into different sort of labels all the time. So let's start with the worst example. In 2022, in a small village, a woman was chained to her little, I don't even know what to call it, hut or something. And when asked, she had been essentially forced to marry this guy. She was trafficked, and she was raped and then forced to give birth to multiple children to this man. Now, after the public opinion just basically blew up over China and even, out into the world, that the CCP had finally done something, they, jailed the guy and everybody that was involved. But still, that was one of the worst case, and it really sparked a lot of discussion about women's rights in China, or even just not even rights, but the equality issue, right? So one is that China has failed to protect women in these trafficking issues, especially if they're from the rural countryside. At a very young age, they go seek jobs in the towns or cities.
And this happens a lot around the world, where women from impoverished areas try to make a better living for themselves, and they end up in some really bad circumstances due to necessity.
chance of them getting trafficked is very high. But a new social condition has been brewing lately, especially since China's economy has been dying, which is something called a low consumption circle or a low consumption cycle. It's what happens when you have a crashing economy, you have a lack of jobs, and you have a gender imbalance issue. In this low consumption condition, what's been happening for girls is that more and more of them are going into X work. And it's varying degrees of related fields, including these like thirst trap live streamings. Obviously, compared to actual X work, the live streaming aspect is like the more benign one. They have to survive, they have to find jobs, they have to provide for the family. Sometimes they're the only income earner in the house. Sometimes they have to, supplement maybe the husband lost the job too, right? Both of them lost a job. So obviously work is a very quick way to make some money so that they can live. That's increasingly become a reality in China. Now, of course, like I mentioned, some people still have some moral values within them, even though the entire society has gone materialistic completely. Some people don't want to sell their body. They turn to live streaming.
女人该走的，就为了开心。
这个社会到底怎么了，兄弟们？你们看吧，是什么原因造成的这种？
兄弟们，你们看吧，这个社会到底怎么了？我看不明白，你们看吧。
The reality is live streaming is the most profitable thing in China right now. So there's this like new consumption cycle, and especially for younger people too, because there's this, it's a semi-joke, but it's also kind of a reality, which is that people in China, like boys, when they graduate from college, they got no jobs, they go become delivery drivers. Girls, when they graduate from college, they have no jobs, they become live streamers. So what happens when a live streamer gets hungry? She orders food from delivery. So the delivery boy delivers the food. And then when the delivery boy is on break, he watches the live streaming girl. And then there's also the third type, which is security guards. These are the people, obviously they didn't go to college, but they still struggle to get a job. They get the chance to watch the live stream while ordering takeout from the boys. And that's China now. Let's focus more on what specifically made this gymnast case so unique in this current environment. I kind of briefly touched on this already. In the world of entertainment, stars and athletes in China, there's something called a hidden rule, which is basically like the same as Me Too movement in Hollywood. And so if you don't cozy up with a CCP official, you become their mistress or something like that behind the scenes, you're not going to shine continuously, right? So for people who want to kind of just, they don't want to touch that part, boys and girls, well, they get brushed aside.
就是我现在跟大家说一下我为什么开始做互联网，因为我们都也许有很多人家里条件不是很好，但是包括我从小开始我家条件不是很好，但是我献出了我整个青春去从事体操这个行业，但是我没有拿到最好的成绩，也就是说我没有走到顶峰。顶峰是什么？顶峰是奥运冠军。奥运冠军意味着什么？有米、有房、有车，但是我没有这些东西，我得靠自己。
Okay, getting to this part, I just realized that's literally like the Hunger Games. Only the winner of the Hunger Games gets a house, gets food, and gets, I guess, treated like a normal human beings. So everybody's got to be like Peter Malak or Katniss Everdeen to.
So despite being a member or a former member of the Olympics team, the Chinese government really doesn't provide a path of success for its athletes. According to online information about Wu, the gymnast, she wasn't allowed to compete in the 2008 Olympics, even though she made the national team, because of internal politics. They apparently wanted some veterans to compete against the likes of Russia and UK and America. So she didn't go, even though some of her talents in certain events were actually there. It's just politics. Now, she did go on to win medals at different international gymnastic competitions and then go on to retire in 2013. But what happens with gymnasts in China is China has this like Soviet Russia like very rigorous systematic training for gymnastics. So young boys and girls are picked and they get put through this rigorous training for their entire youth and young adulthood, that when they come out they struggle with actual living, like proper education, a degree and things like that. So if they're not the best of the best, sometimes they even get rejected halfway through. So they wasted all this time doing this. With the case of Wu too, she tried different jobs. She became a coach, but she wasn't made full time, so she quit. She tried teaching, and apparently she wasn't paid by the teaching institution for a while, so she quit, and then she signed a live streaming deal. And here she started making some money. And she was also found to be doing a lot of charity work on the side. So obviously this live streaming job allows her to do that, to fund her charity work on the side. She seems like a nice person that wants to contribute to society. Look, so I talk about morals in China, or the lack of morals in China, all the time. And I don't think that girls need to go into X work or any of this stuff to make money. That shouldn't be the norm. I do think that the reason the Chinese government is shaming her for doing this is out of the pure attempt to preserve the so-called integrity of Chinese sports. If that really was the case, they shouldn't have silenced Peng Shuai from speaking out about her abuse. Why is she targeted in the end? Because she represents the unique case of not having a strong family background, of having hard work, having some talent, but ultimately was rejected from the entire thing due to politics. That didn't pay off. She tried to find alternatives to survive and live, and unfortunately she's been caged in those areas as well. And I think the scenario we got to be asking is, would she be better off becoming a mistress of some CCP official, or was she better off if she actually went into real X work in China? Like I mentioned, the gymnastics side is just brutal. They stripped her entire youthful life, and now they're asking her to remain that way for the rest of her life. And so, I mean, as hard as for me to say this, she's just fitting in with the trend of the Chinese society right now. I don't think she should be made a role model for young girls to aspire to do this, right? Or, you know, OnlyFans or whatever else that they do now. What I just find, or what angers me is the most, is that the CCP uses sports already to brush up on their image, to cover up their atrocities in human rights and other areas, and to really persecute the entire population. So women in China are constantly categorized based on their values and who they cozy up with, which CCP official. And more women are going into X work than ever before. That's not normal. This is one of the videos of many, which obviously I don't want to show too much, but it's showing an alleyway filled with window girls. It's very common in China. This one is in a KTV. You get rows of them you get to select. If a country can't even guarantee the sanitary status of their feminine pads, or can't even stop or provide some support for girls who have to go into X work because the economy is so bad, I don't think they're in a position to criticize those people for trying to make a living. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think I was being a feminist or a sexist towards women? Either way, let me know your thoughts, opinions on this particular topic. Also, consider checking out davidzang.net for our ugly Christmas sweater collection and get it before your Christmas party. And yeah, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, bye-bye.
Yeah. China's got a lot of issues. And it's gonna be hard to figure out where the hell to start with that.
Her name
Let's see what Charlie has to say today. Actually, I don't even think this was today. This was 15 hours ago now.
is Lily Phillips. She recently did, yeah, she recently did 100 men in 24 hours.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I heard about this. Oh, that is bad. Is that the lady in Australia, or is this in the US?
Yeah, like, so she had sex with 100 men in 24 hours as like a warm-up to her ultimate goal of 1,000 men.
Yo, that is horrible. What the fuck? Emphasis on the first part. Just horrible.
In 24 hours. And we were just talking about how unbelievable that is. So Aaron worked out the math. It's, what is it per
Might
minute?
be wrong, but it's about a minute 26 seconds or so.
If all
I
of
believe.
them take
If
max.
all.
That's sad. That's sad on both sides. That is... Oh, jeez. What the hell? We have officially... We did it, guys. We finally did it. Our modern society has allowed women to embody and emulate the absolute most toxic elements of masculinity.
All of them took the maximum time.
Do we know if they have to finish for it to
That's what I was
count?
gonna say.
That's
Is
what
she
I'm-
just like enter, out, done, enter, out, done?
A lot of it hinges on the definition of having sex, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's just penetration.
We have the whiteboard.
Because if it's every single man has to warm up before they get to the act, which implies
You can do groups.
Oh, what the fuck?
It's we're going one by one by one by one. There's more than two.
Yo. Should I even be watching this? What the hell? I'm gonna make it fast. That is...
Because you three never say don't borrow. That's so true. Because if a group is 3 people, wait, you're absolutely right. Yeah, because look, here's you can triple it.
Okay, you know what? I'm out. That is a bit too much. What the hell? What do the comments say? I've never actually looked through the comments in this format. There we go. The 1000 dudes should each be interviewed like a post-game locker room interview. Oh, jeez. I don't think they want to be interviewed after that. I don't remember if it was her or if it was someone else. But someone said that the men involved mostly did not want their faces shown in the video, so I don't think they want to be interviewed after this. Oh, yeah, this is akin to generals discussing war tactics in their headquarters. Yeah, with that whiteboard and them going through the entire, like, just logistics of how it's done. Like, that was a bit much. The camera panning to Matt saying, "You get the groups," as he unsheaths a pen is fabulous. Get out of here. Oh, all the guys are like an F1 pit stop crew during a pit. Oh no. A mockumentary sitcom. I think I might eventually watch the rest of this, but not right now. Definitely not on stream. That's a bit too much.
Unreal 5 is killing games?
Oh,
This is an investigative report addressing the most negative aspects affecting modern game development. Specifically,
honestly, all of the Unreal Engine 5 games that I can think of off the top of my head have had some kind of issues at launch where, you know, things are buggy, things are slow, optimization isn't completely great between different consoles.
the deterioration of realistic graphics.
I remember a lot of people having really high spec PCs being like, oh, I can't even run this freaking game.
And a manufactured increase in computing cost. I am Kevin Jimenez, the founder of Threat Interactive, a new game production studio aiming to unlock the full potential this next generation of gaming can provide. And we'll show just how by the end of this video.
Okay.
There are 3 interconnected factors that need to be addressed: creativity, performance, and visuals. Let's begin with creativity. Several videos online are already bringing awareness to the decreasing quality of gameplay, open worlds, and the microtransactions affecting the majority of games.
The 2 biggest video game makers in America now make most of their money not from people buying games, but on subscriptions and spending within those games.
Yeah.
In fact, Electronic
That's why
Arts
every game does it.
and Take-Two Interactive both make a staggering 75% of their money from what's called microtransactions.
Jesus.
However, I
75%?
personally loathe the popular critique that photorealistic games are not fun, they lack art style, and we need worse graphics to fix it.
Yeah.
This defeatist attitude is a byproduct of modern development, not visual progress. As industry game developer veterans put it, one thing you do is 10 things you don't. Currently, graphics dominate the do list, leaving gameplay and art style in the don't category.
He's completely right. I feel like visuals for games totally take precedent over gameplay. It's so weird.
Oh, nowadays, yeah. Visuals are paramount, which is strange because I remember back when visuals were secondary. Make a good game, and then whether or not the graphics are up to snuff is something else.
Weird how somehow with video games, gameplay isn't priority number 1.
Graphics are currently in a chaotic state, but once the entire developer
so
industry
weird.
can easily create highly performant photorealism within their engines, competition can begin to solely focus on art direction and gameplay.
Yeah.
But recent opportunities for outstanding games with captivating stories and incredible gameplay have been tarnished by the next two factors. 30 FPS on next-gen consoles is unacceptable for many reasons.
That's, oh my gosh. I hate that. I hate new games that are they are specifically made to run at 30 FPS. That's insane. Like, come on, guys. I can understand with certain games, but like, it seems like a lot of them are now just standard 30 FPS.
Because it sucks. That's the only reason it matters. Why is 30 FPS unacceptable? Because it sucks. If you look at it, it looks like it sucks. It's not even a question.
Even on Steam Deck, like, most of my gaming, honestly, nowadays is done on Steam Deck. And I know I can't get, like, incredible graphics on there. I know I can't get incredible frame rates, because there's a lot of compromises that need to be done. But playing on 30 FPS on the Steam Deck is just, it's really bad. I can't. I would much rather play at 60 or at minimum 40 or 50 FPS. Whenever I see a game go below 40 FPS down to 30, it just feels horribly sluggish, just really jittery. I can't stand 30 FPS anymore.
It's awful.
It appears choppy and promotes a reliance on accessibility such as motion blur.
Yeah.
30 FPS also induces extreme jitter and motion on numerous screens. With only 30 frames, the quality of gameplay logic and basic responsiveness falls short, especially when tons of other titles offer that same basic responsiveness.
That's right.
There are numerous 8th generation console titles that ran near photorealistic visuals at 60 FPS, and that was on 2013 2 teraflop hardware.
In my opinion, I feel like the expectation should be like 80 to 100 FPS, if not more.
Yeah, the crazy part is all of these freaking games, or actually, not all of them. I don't know about Horizon. This looks like the newer one, right? Most of these games came out on PS4. And now we're on the freaking PS5, a whole new generation. And we've got slightly better graphics with lower frame rates. Like, what are we doing, guys?
Like at this point, I don't even think 60 is enough to have like a really good, fluid, feel-good game. Yeah, like 120. Yeah, exactly.
FPS titles like Spider-Man PS4 are kind of excused here, but modern studios are churning out these half-baked games with absurd requirements.
Well, here's what the problem is, right? Like, look at this. I don't know. I thought Remnant 2 was good, but like slop. Okay, I guess. And like these two, RoboCop. I don't know about this one, and people did like Alan Wake 2, to be fair. I don't. Yeah, I thought Remnant 2 had good graphics. But so many of these games are just garbage games. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about how when a game is bad in one thing, in a lot of cases, it means it's going to be bad in everything else too. Like, you know, Starfield, Suicide Squad, and Forspoken. These games are garbage in like 7 different ways.
Churning out these half-baked games with absurd requirements, creating an illusion that 13 teraflop 2021 architecture isn't powerful enough for basic photorealistic performance standards set years ago. This leads us to our final issue. The basic standard of 60 FPS is only offered at the cost of our next and biggest problem, visuals. I firmly advocate for photorealism, but the industry is advancing in it in a manner that is worthless during basic movement, through a cancer in real-time rendering. A graphics programming scapegoat that is destroying every game in its path.
What?
It's called TAA, and that stands for Temporal Anti-Aliasing. This includes upscalers. There are great videos trying to bring awareness about this, but Digital Foundry has an ignorant video that is quickly spreading inaccurate information that is damaging real-time rendering. I will expose false narratives as I show why TAA has
I don't know anything about this.
trends in conjunction with an abusive use of the power offered in current generation consoles. TAA and upscalers stem from anti-aliasing, effects that aim to mimic the benefits.
Why does he dress up like Ellen DeGeneres? Why do that?
Oh, jeez. Poor Linkus. I forgot. I had a nickname for him, but I already forgot. His name is obviously Linus Tech Tips. Oh man, I forgot. It was Linkus. Jeez, I can't remember. It was really good because I'm freaking skinny as hell too. So, I came up with a really funny name because of how skinny he is, and I can't remember anymore.
What? Because, oh, he's Canadian. Oh. Okay, never mind.
It's a 4K plus rendering, because 4K 60 FPS on affordable hardware, including next generation consoles, isn't feasible. True 4K or higher rendering ensures smooth edges and objects, better sampling and textures, thin objects, and specular highlights. As you decrease the resolution, stair-stepping aliasing emerges, and thin details on meshes and specular highlighting breaks apart. FXAA addresses stair-stepping for a cheap cost, but introduces noticeable blur on the entire image.
Yeah, it just blurs everything out. Yeah.
SMAA eliminates these same edges without any blur, making it much more superior. In fact, the only advantage 4K downsampled to 1080p versus 1080p with just SMAA applied is thin detail and specular sampling. But modern TAA is designed to run at any resolution by jittering the rendering view in 8 or more positions as frames.
Yeah, I noticed that. Damn, I had no idea why this happened.
Are generated. After pixel reprojection logic is calculated and designed, the passed frames are combined, creating an 8K-like resolution addressing thin, undersampled objects and specular highlighting.
Yeah.
But all versions of these designs have several issues. Temporal designs are destructive to object or character motion within view. The problems I'm about to show aren't usually visible under a slower threshold of motion, which is why the industry markets with slow cinematic trailers or graphical showcases. But
what the fuck? I feel like I don't even want to watch the rest of this video because it's going to make me see things that I haven't seen. I'm not seeing them right now. It's like...
Honestly, so far I can't follow. I got a little lost in the sauce. I'll just keep playing. I'll keep playing.
This is like a fucking Morpheus red pill, blue pill moment that, like, after I watch this video, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, now I see it everywhere. Yeah, wake up. All right, let's get woke.
Motion produced from gameplay gets annihilated with ghosting, blur, and smearing visuals. This is why still or slow image quality comparisons by major tech influencers are both worthless and misleading. What's the point in playing a realistic game that looks like this during basic player interactions?
Oh, that is ugly.
A realistic game that looks like this during basic player interactions. What's the point in playing a realistic game that looks like this during basic player interactions?
What game is this? Rainbow Six? What? No, I doubt it. The new Black Ops? I'm lost. What game is this?
Wow.
Compression conveniently hides these effects of TAA and is usually mistaken for video compression artifacts. The 4K on YouTube resembles native uncompressed 1080p more than actual native uncompressed 4K.
Oh man.
Chances are you're playing games through an HDMI or better, meaning your game's image quality is uncompressed. Temporal solutions and motion degrade resolutions similar to low bitrate video compression. So having TAA on your gameplay is like adding compression to your gaming.
I didn't even, so like if he's looking at it frame by frame, look at this.
Low bitrate video compression. So having TAA on your gameplay is like adding compression to your gaming experience. Because of current
The smearing is insane. It's like constant ghosting.
Hardware prices that aren't changing anytime soon, 1080p and 1440p remain the most consumer-friendly target resolutions.
Oh my, wait, oh my god, look at the difference.
Soon, 1080p and 1440p remain the most...
Jesus!
Remain the most consumer-friendly target resolutions.
What the fuck was that?
1080p and 1440p remain the most consumer-friendly target resolutions.
Well, now I know. If a game has the option for FXAA or TAA, I will definitely not use TAA.
But TAA ruins these resolutions the most.
Oh my god!
Upscalers not only But TAA ruins these resolutions the most.
Oh my god!
Upscalers not only ruin affordable gaming resolutions, but also damage luxury resolutions for those with enthusiast-grade graphic GPUs. TAA and upscalers are often bundled with ugly sharpeners that fail to fix ghosting or restore the original clarity and detail stripped away from smearing.
Yeah.
The FTAA subreddit, up until the creation of the r/motion clarity subreddit, remained the only online community where consumers could finally speak loud against the industry's oxymoron stance on realistic graphics. And they've listed hundreds of games.
Dude, look at that sword. I love videos like this because it's like you begin the video by thinking that it's just some nerd that has like an autistic fixation on something that nobody cares about. And then you end the video and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
This is fucked. This is awful. Yes, I know. It's based. I know. Look at it.
And they've listed hundreds of games with forced TAA, with recent titles
Wait,
throwing out
look at it.
Look at it.
And they've listed hundreds of games with forced TAA, with recent titles throwing out traditional AA options for upscaling methods only. Remember the SMAA versus 4K comparisons earlier? You could get the same sampling quality on thin and specular by reusing a single pass frame, which means long ghosting trails, blur, and smearing could be eliminated. I personally compiled several pieces of data showing these temporal methods could be redesigned to prevent all these hideous motion issues, which are listed in the video description. But clear and good TAA will never become mainstream because the smeary nature of current temporal solutions are being exploited to cover up lazy and cheap development practices. In hundreds of game titles, if you can fully disable temporal solutions, you are punished severely with numerous rendering problems. Temporal dithering and frame blending dependent rendering aspects.
Oh, that's terrible.
Temporal dithering and frame blending dependent rendering aspect.
Holy shit.
Bloom.
I think I might be stupid because I really can't see. I can't see it.
Soft shadows. Denoise replacement for ray trace shadows. Ambient occlusion.
So it's just designed with all this in
Screen
mind.
space contact shadows. Vegetation, fur, hair. Screen space reflections.
The jitter can't be
Global
turned
illumination.
Oh, okay, I
Screen
see it
space
now.
reflections.
The jitter can't be
Global
turned
illumination. Translucent materials.
Oh, wow, look at that. Not that. Look at her glasses. This is awful.
What's the difference?
Oh, wow, look at that.
Translucent materials.
The jitter can't be
Global
turned off.
illumination. Translucent materials.
Yeah. I've noticed
wow,
that too.
look
I've
at
noticed
that.
that.
Not that. Look at her glasses.
Sort of get
This
some
is awful.
kind of like screen. I don't know what you call it.
Dithering to hide geometric camera clipping.
No way. No. How?
Mesh introductions. And ray trace reflections. Strip away TAA in several engines and these effects transform into an incomprehensible mess or reveal a poor approach to an aspect of rendering.
So it was never actually done right in the first place because they just assumed that they'd just smooth everything over in the end? Is that accurate? This is an AI video, bro? Well, I wish they used AI to make these games. They probably would have been better.
Get out of here.
The supposed fixes and optimizations offered by temporal
I
anti-aliasing
don't know if it is
upscalers.
or not. I mean, it's just a guide.
But an industry lie perpetuated by Digital Foundry's TAA
Yeah, look at that.
video is the claim that TAA and upscalers enable developers to optimize these effects by rendering them at lower resolutions, allowing TAA to smooth them with supposedly no cost. But if you do some digging, you'll discover older deferred titles from under a decade ago, rendering the same basic effects independently of temporal frame smearing with similar or better performance.
That's one thing I've noticed. I feel like graphics kind of peaked in like 2014 to 2017. And we haven't really had like a huge breakthrough since then.
Or similar better visual quality. And guess what? If you need extra performance,
I noticed
from a
that playing
demanding
Metal Gear Rising
that
Revengeance.
feature can be programmed to run at a lower resolution and or include its own temporal accumulation without blurring the entire frame. Modern implementations of last-gen basic visuals perform more poorly because studios leverage the power of next-generation consoles to cut financial costs on legitimate optimization processes for faster releases. The financial savings don't end there though. TAA and upscalers enable studios to save money by integrating these popular and fully developed temporal algorithms into their engines instead of investing in the development of genuinely high-performing and self-resolving effects.
Because it's more expensive.
TAA, a large portion of rendering advancement papers tie in TAA or mention an upscaler such as DLSS as a required condition to solve some issue with the design.
Oh my god.
Speaking of DLSS, people...
So... That is insane. Wake up, Neo? Yeah, this is upsetting, guys. This is really upsetting. Where the hell does it... So you're telling me that they're saving money and they're still spending... Yeah, they're saving money and they're still spending over $100 million making these games? I feel like we have a problem here.
Only label it better than
What's
native
this?
because DLSS is always compared to native with TAA applied.
Yeah.
Anything compared to the worst case scenario will appear improved.
Oh my god.
The so-called best TAA algorithms are needlessly expensive and brand specific.
Yeah.
First, I have a bone to pick with DLAA. DLAA uses too many pass frames of reconstruction, which causes two problems. Long ghosting trails and significant blurring in motion compared to native with SMA.
Do you want to know what's so bad about this? Is it...
Long ghosting trails and significant blurring in motion compared to native with SMA.
Do you want to know what's so bad about this? Is that I actually thought with a couple of these games that it was a design choice. It was a stylistic choice. I didn't realize it was just the fucking graphics rendering being shitty. Yeah,
Stationary output. It also fails to smooth stair stepping in motion compared to SMAA. Applying Circus Method with the newest DLL provides much better results, even though both examples are rendered at 1080p. But Circus Method isn't cheap. DLA at 1080p on a desktop 12GB 3060 costs 0.75 milliseconds. Circus Method bumps that up to 2.44 milliseconds. Image quality is far from poor, but its proprietary nature, cost, and Blue Moon AI mistakes makes it unreliable for the industry. XeSS 1.3 native AA mode suffers from the same problems as DLNA, but costs 1.44 milliseconds at 1080p on the same machine. Applying Circus Method gets image quality almost indistinguishable from Circus Method DLSS, but costs 4.6 milliseconds. Next is Unreal's TSR. It's a little more complex because it implements Circus Method natively, but I'll give it the fairest shot possible by using UE 5.4's more optimized implementation. It's easy.
Yeah, this is way worse. Like, you can't tell really with this image, but you can easily tell with this one. I just don't understand how it's so bad, and they spend so much money on it.
It's easy to appear superior to Unreal's TAA, but TSR suffers from a specific hazy fizzle appearance that video compression doesn't present well enough to compare with my criticism of that aspect. But besides whether or not you think it looks fine or not, the biggest issue again is the cost when set by the maximum quality settings for anti-aliasing. It puts TSR 10 times the cost of TAA and stands around 3 milliseconds on a 3060 at native 1080p. That's the difference between 60 FPS and 50 FPS.
Jesus.
Still not convinced it's too expensive? Let's look at the Decima TAA again from 2017.
Wait, this is the way it looks? Oh my god.
These are PS4 timings. They didn't go with SMA because of the cost combined with temporal rejection, so they went with sharpened FXA fallback for their 2-frame TA instead. But what if they use SMA instead? We would get 0.36 milliseconds versus both unreasonable TSR timings. With such a low base cost, and these results at 30 FPS, if we wanted to keep AAA cost under 1 millisecond on modern affordable hardware, we could catapult the quality even further with 60 FPS and use that 0.73 milliseconds of headroom with aspects such as SMA or advanced motion vectors. Meanwhile,
I don't understand why they keep focusing on trying to make this like hyper realistic when the game plays at 30. I feel like if your game has to play at 30 FPS, it's like real life isn't at 30 FPS. So at that point, like, what about that?
Yeah. I can completely understand frame rates being used as a stylistic choice. Let's say, for example, you have a very cartoony art style and a very snappy gameplay. I completely understand it just being at 30 FPS. Because if you have like very snappy animations that don't require a whole lot of gradual movement, you can easily get away with 30 FPS. But if you're trying to make a realistic game, a game that looks and emulates real life, and it tries to be as detailed as possible, and the movement is like jittery, like that doesn't even make sense.
TSR was put under the same scenario on screen, I guarantee you it would look like a slime show even at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
These are TAA design requisites that must be combined to keep TAA computations costs low and stop it from producing the poor image quality we've settled for more than a decade now.
Yeah.
But effect dependency is preventing progress. Unreal has long been founded on this dependency, and still heavily does. UE5 is set to worsen this industry problem because it's going to dominate the production of titles coming this generation, and Epic and its partners like CD Projekt Red have no concern over this matter.
Yeah, because CD Projekt Red
goes so far to claim that FXA results in a loss of fidelity compared to their temporal methods.
Yeah, they're using Unreal
now is only a half-truth. They also
because it's like, I think about these like up-res cyberpunk videos, and none of them look like this.
Misleading information about TSR, presenting it as a method to achieve near 4K quality with just 1080p input. Of course, they showcase this with a stationary example.
Yeah.
In reality, 540p with sufficient temporal jitter and accumulation can resolve an 8K resolution image with a stationary camera. Out-of-context fairy tales like this are damaging game development.
Wow.
Another out-of-context narrative Epic Games is pushing is that Nanite has a faster way to render geometry and aims to eliminate this LOD pop-in association. Nanite does not increase performance unless you abuse your scene with extreme overdraw. I've compiled many tests on the specific Unreal forums thread that proves this. Nanite can cost as much as next-gen lighting, and pop-in will still remain a part of your gaming experience because shadows, skeletal meshes, foliage, and open-world partitions will still introduce pop.
And we know this from PAX Day. Because PAX Day had that same functionality.
Even Brian Keras has stated Nanite can have worse performance on optimized meshes, but stated users still enable it to save disk space. This is a perfect example showing Epic Games' flawed position on what modern games really need. It doesn't matter if your highly detailed open-world game is 100 megabytes, but can't perform at a decent resolution and frame rate.
Yeah.
Optimized meshes don't even require Nanite compression. But studios who use Nanite save themselves money by not investing in quality LODs, and not investing in mesh introduction transitional effects that would give you better results. The good practice used on optimized game meshes is the use of bitmaps for subpixel detail.
Yeah, look at that.
A good practice.
You guys see this?
in
Watch, it
transitional
just
effects
literally
that
appears
use
out of nowhere.
results. A good practice used on
Yeah.
I
See this?
the decision.
is used on
Yeah, I've
optimized
seen
game
that
meshes
happen.
is the use of bitmaps for subpixel
Yeah,
detail.
look at that.
A good practice.
You guys see this?
in
Watch,
transitional
it just
effects that
literally
give
appears
you
out of
better
nowhere.
results.
Oh, right.
A good practice used on
Yeah.
optimized game meshes is the use of bitmaps for subpixel detail, such as the words on these quixel stones.
Uh-huh.
Nanite encourages and is designed to render subpixel detail geometrically instead of textures,
Sure.
which causes extreme pixel crawl and artifacting, which you guessed it, can only be fixed by intense temporal frame smearing, creating a manufactured and limited scenario where flawed TAA appears as a better option. I understand the time and quality issues related to making good LDs, but Nanite is the worst solution to this problem. UE5 will dominate all other options because this engine excels in support. I'm talking asset packages formatted specifically for Unreal, hundreds of documentations, shared public content, overwhelming logic support. Epic Games provides hundreds of free, basic, but high-quality assets when you use Unreal.
Holy
Every
shit.
major third-party vendor with game-related software always prioritizes support for Unreal.
I hate video games
Unreal
now.
offers a unique amount of support for critical tools for basic workflows like animation and debuggers. It's intuitive to use in comparison with competitor UI and programming designs. For studios, finding individuals to hire is made easy due to the widespread popularity and adoption of the engine.
Yeah,
it's an
yeah, of
advantage
course.
Unreal has acquired by simply existing as long as it has the way it has. That makes it the go-to for software and digital media. But the engine designs and its leadership should not be at the forefront of next-gen graphics development for critical reasons I'll outline right now. Epic provides 30 FPS presets in Unreal because they don't believe it's inadequate on 9th generation consoles. Look at Fortnite 5.4's performance. The design is CPU intensive, sure, but the art style is simplistic enough even with GI to provide a computational advantage. Yet it's one of the hardest games to run on the GPU side even with a 60 FPS or high preset enabled.
Oh my
if this is the
God.
best performance offered by the engine's creators, of course it'll defend 30 FPS when basic realism or complex stylized visuals come into play. Epic has no experience making realistic games.
That's actually true.
Matrix Awakens is not a game. It's a visually exciting 30 FPS demo with enough motion blur to hide the 30 FPS screen judder. Consumers who didn't own a 9th generation console at the
So
time.
he's saying that, like, we thought we were living in a 60 FPS world, but we were in a 30 FPS world all along and we didn't even know it?
Wake up, Neo.
Holy fuck, man. Wake up? This is good. Bro, I'm gonna be thinking about this for a while.
Saw the 60 FPS tag on the YouTube presentation and assumed that was the case. People who did experience the demo firsthand were given basic interaction through a locked aiming system that wouldn't expose the fluidity issues of 30 FPS. Epic has no problem abusing the flaws of their TAA or temporal upscalers such as DLSS for several effects I've shown throughout this video. Epic defaults their engine to rely on temporal smearing when very few TAA independent features remain undocumented and hidden behind loopholes most unsuspecting developers will never find.
I had no idea about any of
promote
this.
heavy and blurry temporal upscaling as a viable solution on 9th generation consoles. And the biggest problem with Epic and their perspective on game development is that Fortnite drives their motivations for Unreal's development.
Of course.
Fortnite is a game with a very unique and uncommon problem the engine has to accommodate for. It's an open world map with a dynamic time of day and weather. This means real-time GPU calculations need to be computed per frame to account for those dynamic changes. What makes these calculations so much more expensive in Unreal is the fact that Fortnite's entire environment is destructible. This is why more realistic open worlds from 8th generation console titles have no problem with day or weather cycles even though they don't use light maps.
Yeah, it's like if I look at this game, there's none of that in that Metal Gear Solid.
Use light maps.
Holy shit.
Because their environment, or in other words, primary source of indirect lighting, is mostly static. These games use lighting solutions that bait small, memory-efficient indirect lighting hints that your GPU doesn't have to compute. This way, your GPU just calculates how these pre-computed hints correlate to the dynamic lights and shadows.
Yeah.
These lighting systems have their own limitations, but not a whole lot that can't be accelerated or overcome using 9th gen's hardware fully.
And like, here's a good example of this. Have you guys ever walked inside of a room in Unreal and the room is super dark, and then in like a minute it becomes bright? I wonder if that's related to this.
Potential. Fortnite's GI, which is Unreal's Lumen, can't let developers with the common environmental properties bake any high-quality indirect lighting hints that save you performance. Unreal's light maps are uninterpolatable and have serious leaking problems that can only be mitigated with stupid amounts of VRAM memory. So many Unreal games are wasting performance for basic visual standards because your GPU is computed whether or not a Fortnite wall has been destroyed or what that wall looked like, etc. Lumen is noisy without TAA because it isn't designed to use stable or high-quality indirect lighting hints. So top that inefficiency off in games with other Epic game technologies like Nanite, Virtual Shadow Maps, and TSR, and we're left with games created faster than ever and as inefficient and as terrible in motion as ever. When this happens over and over again, it standardizes, which is why other studios are following these inefficient designs for their mostly static games that could use faster systems.
And so I think that I don't know what to say. Like, I think that the problem is that it creates, I think what he's trying to argue, I'm not sure because I don't really have like a background in this, I think what he's trying to argue is that the end result of this type of cost cutting is a worse product, even though for a lot of average users, they probably don't care.
Epic Games' indifference towards underperforming
He's saying devs are lazy? Yeah.
third-party Unreal games
I think.
is the statement that big-budget studios should be customizing Unreal source code to provide more appropriate designs for their titles. True, but it's almost a catch-22. If a studio decides to use Unreal, it shows they lack the funding, interest, and/or innovation to manage the graphics themselves. This is exactly what happens when established studios throw out proprietary engines in favor of what Unreal offers.
Wait, what?
I have one more problem with Epic that I need to cover.
What?
Unreal is used for the automotive, film, simulation, and construction industries. That wouldn't be a problem if Epic wasn't constantly accounting for this user base and modeling Unreal with algorithms not meant for consumer-efficient real-time rendering.
That's
Amidst
true.
of these issues, I gave Epic the benefit of the doubt and made a feedback thread on the Unreal Developer Forums 12 months ago, requesting the prioritization of game development and a larger focus on temporal smearing independence within their various effects. In only 11 months, it was voted as the #1 feedback from developers, replacing the previous #1 feedback thread made 3 years ago. Epic released several Unreal versions, including nothing pertaining to the thread's request, despite a solid number of educated developers ready to progress beyond Epic's limited vision for this generation of gaming.
Jesus.
The studio was created to begin the production of an intense
Well, no,
action
people
game.
use Unreal for all kinds of things. Like for architecture renderings and all kinds of other things too. Yeah, he rallied the devs. Yeah, this is
Based on a
insane.
new IP consisting over 700 pages of detailed story and scenarios. Our game is conventional due to only requiring a mostly static world with dynamic lights, making our goals much more relevant to many developers and gamers.
Yeah.
We have paused the production of our game, so our unrivaled passion for motion clarity and performance standards for untainted photorealism can be met, which is why our solution is to create a custom Unreal via crowdfunding, with custom systems that directly address the giant issues stated in this video. Don't think a custom Unreal Engine will have an impact on developers? Take the finals for example. It performs so much better than other UE5 games, people defend Epic's UE5 and solely blame studios for any worse performing titles.
Yeah,
But the finals'
I
extreme
do that.
destructive nature made using Nanite and the associated virtual shadow maps impossible. And
What?
most people don't know that the finals uses NVIDIA's custom UE5 branch to make use of its lower quality but much faster dynamic GI, DDGI, instead of Epic's Lumen. The finals performance doesn't contradict our views on Epic's Unreal. It only proves our point. NVIDIA's custom UE5 branch is exactly how we want to execute ours. But as of now, we need funding to motivate and hire skilled graphic programmers. Our
Holy
engine will always
shit.
be accessible for review and use under Epic's GitHub restrictions. Unlike industry leaders, we do not believe the future of graphics is dependent on blurry or expensive temporal smearing.
I feel like that's the case, yeah, because they do look so blurry.
That future is only possible
Holy
if
shit.
you care enough and support our vision for
There's
modern
exactly zero dumbing down in this video. Yeah, like, I'll be real. Like, as somebody who doesn't come from a design background, a lot of this stuff went over my head. Like, I can understand the visual differences, and I get, like, kind of what he's talking about, but a lot of it, I don't understand this, because I don't have a lot of, like, I don't have any background in this.
So sponsors, investors, we're ready to begin if we've convinced you. Threat Interactive, my studio, will be giving more details about how we intend to execute our plan in our next video. Until then, thank you for watching this one. And please like and subscribe to our channel and share this message on your favorite Discord server, subreddit, and social media so we can
That's
start
what happened
elevating
with
the
me.
future of gaming standards together.
Holy fuck. I'll link you guys his video. I'll give him a sub and give him a like. Yeah, here, you can subscribe to him right now. W video, yeah, glad you're putting light on this. I had no idea about any of this, man. Yeah, please share it. There's the video. Give it a like, give him a sub. Threat Interactive. And dynamic lighting was better 9 years ago. What? I don't even know what to say. That's ridiculous.
Listen, you want to skip this ad. I would too. But what if I told you there's a skip ads for everybody?
It would be crazy if this girl ended up going to jail. I will tell you that.
Oh, jeez. What the hell's up with that? Yeah, I think everyone can agree that graphics were better a few years ago. Things are getting a little too complicated. Things are getting a little bit too stupid. Alright, so I've got just enough time for this
Hi,
one.
I'm Mari. I hope your day is good and I hope this video makes your day a little bit better.
Actually, let's see what else we've got. You know what? We'll watch this one. We'll watch this one.
Today we're going to be reacting to The Attack on Male Gamers Continues by Sydney Watson. And this is a topic I am very passionate about because I am a gamer and I am so sick and tired of like guys being dunked on for, I don't know, playing games like it's a crime. So excuse me if I might get a little emotional during this as like a fellow gamer. And well, with that, let's begin.
Just, I don't know, in my opinion, I think that, I don't know, there's something a little bit childlike about it, a grown man to be playing games, and it is a huge, huge turn off for me, and I'm bloody glad my man doesn't play video games.
I mean, if that's the case, if that's what our metric is, then man, I must come off as so childish. It's actually kind of interesting too when I see like women hating on other like women when they do VTuber stuff. So like, wow, you must be such a child too. Like, I feel like these types of women are just some of the most boring and uninteresting people to talk to.
I don't have anything meaningful to say about this. I just want to tell her to shut up.
Same.
I just don't really fully understand what is childish about it.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. And as
at least hell is warm.
Place a couple weeks ago, but a lot of things were also happening during that time, like the mystery of who is eating the cats.
They're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats.
And
why are we eating the cats and dogs? Why are we eating animals? Can we not?
I needed to show you all my breakdancing prowess, okay?
Oh hell yeah!
Oh jeez.
Woo! Yeah.
What is this, Australia?
Like I said a few weeks ago, the conversation, or the debate, if you will, around men.
The debate of guys playing video games, really?
Playing video games being unattractive was once again resurrected. This has been going on for quite some
I really like her background over there. It's so pretty.
Time, but periodically, someone, somewhere, for some reason, brings it back up. And every time this happens, it seems that people want to congregate around the idea that men playing video games is bad, and gaming is bad overall.
I hate that mentality so much, like, especially since I do a lot of work in esports, and I constantly hear from like boomers and Gen Xers, and sometimes like millennials being like, oh yeah, this gaming thing, it's like, it's esports is not just gaming. And also like, there's just nothing wrong with playing games. Like if people like, if that is like their hobby and the fun thing that they want to do, let them have their hobby. It's a hobby.
The people who
and for some people, it's an actual career because they're in esports and they're playing competitively and getting money for it.
Like crocheting or something. Depressingly, when I started looking for videos on this issue, I actually came across this bizarre
new ick unlocked. Watching my boyfriend play game. Okay, but like, he's just sitting there bouncing, being happy. Why are you such a hater? Oh my gosh, like I could never imagine dating somebody who would judge the things that I like to do. I feel like I would not get along with this person. They would see all of my like anime figures and my Pokemon collection and my GamerSupps waifu cups, and they probably would think there's like something wrong with me.
Our trend on TikTok where women say that they're men being happy while playing.
Listening to your man on his headset to his Xbox pals ick activated. I'm sorry, but like he's is not even grammatically correct. If the only thing that I'm being icked out is by how bad you can form sentence structures.
I hate when people reduce things down to just like a single word. That is so dumb. How mature are you? How capable are you of complex thought that you just reduce everything down to ick? Like, come on.
In games gives them the ick. So there's that.
Shut up, kill yourself.
Just
what the fuck?
Please juice it up at this point. Anyway, this time the conversation started when conservative commentator Liz Wheeler posted a graph of the hobbies women reportedly find the least attractive. At the top of the list was
why is bird watching last and why is online trolling in the middle? So we're okay with online trolling, ladies.
Playing video games, followed by collecting figurines, magic.
Oh. Okay, so wait, girls are okay with gambling, like men wasting their money on gambling, but magic tricks, collecting figurines, and
you gotta understand why gambling is so high up there. It's because some people view it as making money, which is ridiculous.
Playing video,
tricks and online trolling. But apparently, we all love a good bird watcher. So that's a win for the bird.
That's weird.
I have absolutely no idea.
Not the bird watcher part. It's just weird that like, who are the sample of women that were being asked this? Like millennial women, I'm guessing.
Yeah, what bird enthusiasts are called. Birder.
Birder. It's very similar to murder.
At least that's memorable. I guess that's an improvement on what the trained people are called. Hootie tutors?
Trainees?
Tutor tutors? This graph, which obviously is not based on real evidence, was posted along with Wheeler's commentary, which read, "This is 100% true. Men playing video games..."
100% true for who? You, Liz? Like, what?
...is peak unattractive, beyond red flag, like deal breaker zone. It's weird so many dudes don't get this. After a huge amount...
what does that even mean? It's weird that so many dudes don't get this. Like, where are you coming from with that comment? Are you trying to say that people need to like adjust themselves to you? That is so self-centered.
I just think it's funny how like she's trying to talk for like all women, but like I don't know, like Liz, what kind of guys do you like? What do you want them to do?
Pushback.
Also, isn't gambling considered gaming in some sense too? I'm pretty sure like casinos, they call it like game lounges and stuff, but it's like gambling.
Wheeler followed up with a few additional posts, including another tweet where a woman wrote, "Women don't dislike video games because they're geeky."
Oh my god, I thought this was the same person. I kid you not. This Ali person and Liz look really similar.
We dislike them because they're antisocial and consumption-based. Like if a woman said TikTok or online shopping was her hobby.
Ah, yo. Get the hell out of here. Consumption-based. Alright, consumption-based. How many people's hobbies are literally just buying things? How many people's hobbies are literally just collecting things? And how many of those are women? What else is there? TikTok or online shopping was her hobby. Oh my gosh. A lot of people's hobbies nowadays is simply just scrolling on social media. Come on.
And that's cringe.
Yo, get the fuck out of here.
Now available on both PC and mobile with Google Play.
I don't even know who that is.
Because like, why are you shopping on TikTok? Isn't TikTok like full of like scams and stuff? Like, I don't understand. You're saying like video games are geeky, but spending money on like scam advertisements on TikTok is okay? Look, I know I'm being a little judgmental on your hobby. If that is like your hobby, you like shopping on the scam sites, okay, that's great. That is a waste of your money. But like, guys can do whatever they want for their hobby too, whether they want to go fishing, want to go do like sports cars, or if they want to play games, like that's a hobby. Hobbies, when you play video games, you're actually doing something. You have to use a lot of motor skills and you have a lot of brain functions to like solve stuff, especially puzzle games and playing like competitively.
Hobbies should include.
Yes, that is very much true. Like, it is sedentary. You're not moving much, but you're working your brain. There's a lot of elderly people who play video games specifically for that. They play video games to keep their mind sharp. Plus it also helps with hand-eye coordination. A lot of people who work, or how can I say this? A lot of military programs, for example, use video games to train people on how to use different machinery, different vehicles, because it helps train them when it comes to how it is and when it is that they're supposed to be moving. And to better adjust the reflexes.
Include actually doing, making, or learning something. Last time I checked, gaming is doing something.
It is. It's relaxing, and also like you learn a lot through video games too. There's actually a lot of different language learning apps that are used with video games.
What is this? What am I even reading here? Doubling down even further, Wheeler also wrote that video games are sedentary, consumptive, fantasy steeped in immorality that have serious negative real-world side effects.
Oh my gosh, fantasy steeped in immorality. Like I said earlier, I completely agree they are sedentary. But how many hobbies aren't? Like, there are so many hobbies out there that are sedentary. Let's be real. And fantasy steeped in immorality? Like, what are we even going on about? That sounds insane. So every video game is immoral somehow?
Effects on the men who play them.
And so isn't shopping on TikTok.
That have serious negative real-world side effects on the men who play them.
And so isn't shopping on TikTok.
This tweet was very long, so I'm just going to summarize the generality of it, which was that video game.
There are toxic hobbies women have too. TikTok, online shopping, Real Housewives, but this was never about a war between the sexes. But you're making it. It was never an attack on men. But you are attacking. I'm being gaslit right now. I'm actually being gaslit right now watching this. That's insane. You can't be saying that.
Games are net negative on society based on the fact that they reportedly lead to aggressive behavior, desensitization to violence, anxiety, mood disorders, and so on and so forth. She also asserts that
it's pretty simple. Women are attracted to men based on men's abilities to protect, provide, produce, and procreate. Ew. Hobbies that illustrate the ability. Hobbies that. Oh my god, this. I can't read, apparently.
That line right there.
protect, provide, produce, and procreate.
That is only a justification for why women are human beings and men are human doings. Our only value is found in how much we produce and what we're doing. Come on.
Ew. Hobbies that illustrate the ability. Hobbies that. Oh my god, this. I can't read, apparently, this. Hobbies that illustrate that ability are attractive to women. Hobbies that do not are not. What are we talking about here? Like, I'm sorry, but if it's fun for the guy, let him be relaxed. I don't understand what produce means. What are men producing? Semen?
That women are attracted to men based on a man's ability to protect, provide, produce, and procreate. Hobbies that illustrate that ability are
My brain
attractive
is
to
melting.
women. Hobbies that do not are not. Not to be a jerk, at least not intentionally, but isn't reading sedentary? And isn't buying random female crap for your house consumptive? Do you want to go and have a conversation with the immoral smut-reading ladies over on Book Talk?
Don't get me wrong. That is a huge community, and I do have some gal friends who are into that kind of stuff. But it's true. It's like, I just think that she just doesn't like games, and she has this weird stigma about games, and it's just really weird.
Would you like to have a word?
It is. It's just video games. And yeah, I don't understand what we're talking about. There are far worse things that you could be doing than video games.
I really don't mean to be so sarcastic about all of this. It just
No, you should
really
be.
irritates me.
Same.
Of course, the icing on the cake here is the entire live stream that Wheeler decided to make about this topic,
Oh my god. Wheeler.
addressing the blowback that she'd received and saying that lots of people were unkind to her about it. And
Gee, I wonder why they were unkind. Gosh, it's so hard to like. It's really hard for someone who grew up playing video games and was constantly just like bullied for this kind of stuff to have to listen to someone like berate somebody else for their hobby. Like, bro, if you're that focused on someone else's life, are you really doing anything productive to provide for your significant other? It seems to me like you're.
I saved
Yes, of course.
$700 with Liberty Mutual. Crazy what you can get with those savings.
No.
You're spending life. Are you really doing anything productive to provide for your significant other?
And she's very much right. She's very much right. And I forgot what I was gonna say.
For someone who grew up playing video games and was constantly just like bullied for this kind of stuff to have to listen to someone like berate somebody else for their hobby. Like, bro, if you're that focused on someone else's life, are you really doing anything productive to provide for your significant other?
Yes, and she had said that people were being unkind to her, and it's just like, whoa, I'm sorry, but what did you expect? You're literally belittling people and diminishing them just based off of their favorite hobby. Like, of course you're gonna get backlash.
Seems to me like you're spending a lot of time yapping and focusing negative energy on other people instead of producing, consuming, learning, and providing.
didn't like that, which honestly, like, yeah, fair enough. This video is really long, and she burned through a lot of points very quickly, and we don't have time to unpack them, but I overall felt really irritated watching Wheeler's live stream, and my takeaway was just generally, tell me you've never played video games without telling me you've never played video games. She again brought up that it makes people more desensitized and prone to violence, because apparently we're resurrecting 90s talking points. I don't know.
I don't know why people always bring this kind of stuff up. It's kind of crazy because, like, look at her background. It is the most generic type of background ever. And what I mean by that is, like, those aren't even, like, books on her wall. She's got some plants and these statues. I'm not trying to, like, sit here and, like, on her aesthetics all too much, but it is kind of funny how someone is making fun of somebody's hobby when it looks to me like her background, she doesn't have any hobbies of her own. Her background tells me nothing about her personality. It's very sterile, and honestly, it's kind of depressing to look at. Like, look at this. She's behind a blank wall. But you know why she has an actual, like, personality with, at least from what I'm telling, is her wallpaper right there. It's a beautifully animated wallpaper. That alone tells me, like, she's got some kind of interest in, like, fantasy.
Yeah, this is, where is it? This is very beige mom. Very beige mom.
But you know why she has wallpaper? That alone tells me, like, she's got some kind of interest in, like, fantasy.
but we were over this. Look, I don't know Liz personally, and so I don't want anyone to perceive this as me attacking her because she seems like a nice lady, but
No, she really doesn't seem like a nice lady. Like, don't worry. I got your back as an anime girl because people like to just hate on me anyways. I got your back on this. She does not seem like a very nice lady. She seems someone who is very unpleasant to talk to.
I do find her opinion and this extended opinion really frustrating. I think there's a trend on the right side of politics where some conservatives in particular like to fully reject and stomp on really important cultural and entertainment-based mediums. And even if the intention behind that is a noble one, I still think it comes across as really controlling and fun policing.
It is very controlling. I've talked to a lot of people who are like Liz, and yeah, I've talked about this in a couple of different videos that I've been reacting to, but oh my god, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit mentioning her name. But like, I constantly get berated every single day at my job because I do stuff in esports, and I talk to people who are like Liz, and they literally just sit there and make fun of me all the time. And honestly, they make my office day life a living hell. They're not pleasant people to talk to, and yes, they have the most generic sense of humor.
Listen, even people with daddy issues don't want to be parented this hard. I mean, they do want something hard, but it's not parenting.
Oh my god.
All of this to say,
I like this lady, she's funny.
In the long run, I don't think it's very helpful, and I'm sure some of you will disagree with that, and that's okay. Feel free to scream at me in the comments.
No! No!
Anyway, about a week later, another video popped up where a woman called Bex from the radio show 102 Philly was similarly articulating why she doesn't like men playing video games. She said that it was lazy and generally unproductive.
But so like, you're telling me the pro players in Cloud9 who make thousands of dollars every month playing competitive video game are lazy and not providing or doing anything? That's crazy.
But the whole gaming thing...
What's the problem? Jacqueline has this big problem too. Because
it's just lazy.
She doesn't even have a good reason. She's like, it's just lazy.
Like, unless you're getting paid, and there's a line, right? Like, it's cool if you want to do it every so often, but to me, I'm like, go educate. Like, go do something productive.
But what is the problem? Like, you know, Jacqueline has a big problem with it too. Whenever she hears the PlayStation start up, like, I gotta hear the huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
But if I were to just have TV on, you'd be on TikTok as it is, not paying attention. So why does it bother you?
I've been there. I've been there before.
Have TV on, you'd be on TikTok as it is, not paying attention. So why does it bother you?
Because it's not the distraction of...
Just so you know, like, every time when he asks her, like, an actual, like, question, she, like, looks up because she's trying to come up with a lie, some kind of bullshit excuse for why she doesn't like something and trying to justify it.
And it is funny that, yeah, the people who complain about things like this are the same kind of people whose hobbies are just scrolling on TikTok.
Me being on TikTok and us watching TV. It's what you could be doing with that time.
So there it is. Like, okay, so if you're watching TV, it's okay. That's what you're saying. Like, oh, if you're watching TV and you're on TikTok, you're fine. But if you're playing a game and you're on TikTok, it's not fine.
Yes, and I knew it. I knew it. You women want to task us so bad that you're so pissed that we're taking time from doing something. Wait a minute, you're enjoying things? You have time to do this video game? Here's all the things you could be doing.
Here's the thing, you're enjoying it, but you...
Oh my gosh. As a kid, I would hear that a lot. Why are you playing video games? There's this whole laundry list of things that you could be doing right now. Oh my gosh.
You could also be planning something nice for us, you know?
Okay, so what about if they're watching TV then? Would you still have an issue with it?
Like I mentioned, this is not the first time that this type of criticism has come up. A couple years ago, 3 more women got a lot of heat online for making fun of men who game, with one of the women even suggesting there's a correlation between gaming and being bad in the bedroom, like having small male genitalia.
I'll be honest with you, not if I think of the top 10.
Town Hall 17 in Clash of Clans is now available on both mobile and PC with Google Play Games. Experience more ways to play.
Best dicks I've ever had, they didn't play video games. So I'm convinced video games are for mediocre.
Well, I grew up as a gamer.
Yo, get the fuck out of here. What is wrong with you?
Having small male genitalia.
I'll be honest with you, not if I think of the top 10 best dicks I've ever had, they didn't play video games. So I'm convinced video games are for mediocre.
Well, I grew up as a gamer, so it was okay with it. That was quite alright with me. I got excited too.
I like how she's like trying to defend men and they're like, nah.
And it's spending that much time playing video
There's
games.
a lot of grown men spending a lot of time.
And
on
I
this
don't think that
bullshit.
they're.
a lot.
I don't think that you could be a great partner or a great lover as a grown man.
That's horrible to say. Like that is actually really mean. Oh my god. I don't even know how to respond. That is just so mean.
Spending time playing video games.
If you're like
This is such a weird statement. Do you always judge the appropriateness of a hobby based on man pickles and their performance?
You'd be surprised how many women do though. Like I know a lot of one of the things that I hated talking about with some of my girlfriends back in like high school was that they wouldn't stop talking about dicks and like men genitalia and like sex, and I would just be so bored from the conversation because I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care about someone's size. I like literally cringe when guys start talking about like their dick size, and when girls talk about their dick size. That stuff makes me cringe genuinely because I don't care. I don't care about that kind of stuff at all. I know I'm kind of weird for saying that I don't care about what's in your pants. It's crazy, right? But I really don't. I just want to know like if you're.
It's funny that nowadays, yeah, it's the weird thing. Yeah. It's so weird not to talk about that.
A good person, and if the hobbies that you're doing are not hurting other people. I don't think that playing video games is hurting other people, unless if you're sitting there screaming, calling a 13-year-old the N-word, then we kind of have a problem.
Is this a legitimate metric? Why are people like this? I mean, put me in the cannon and launch me to Jupiter. So I have a very vested interest in this topic, both as a woman and as a person who plays video games.
Same.
So I do feel that it is pretty important to come to the defense of male gamers, and I guess just really any gamer in general. Because if the criticisms that I've so far highlighted in this video are anything to go by, I think people's perceptions of this industry and those who enjoy games are completely off base. And I think it's generally wild to say that gaming is not a hobby, and if it is, it's one that's overall unattractive to women.
Yet gambling is more acceptable for them. Like gambling is really bad. It's super addictive and it's destroying lives. And look, I know I've seen that World of Warcraft article too about the parents who like neglected their kids and stuff. Like I've seen that kind of stuff. Obviously, when you are doing whatever hobby it is that you're doing, if you're doing it to an extreme, it's not good. And it feels like a lot of these women who judge this kind of stuff, they just don't really have a personality. And I mean that in a genuine way, because it's like they don't know anything about themselves. Like they don't want to explore anything that's interesting. They don't want to like pursue something that could enrich their lives in some kind of way. Like they strike me as the type of person who needs to be the center of attention all the time, because what else do they have to focus on besides like TikTok, I guess? It's just weird how they only focus on like TikTok and like what other people are doing. Like, girl, get a hobby. Do something fun for yourself.
Because I would argue, in many, many cases, that is not true. I mean, first and foremost, the gaming industry as a whole has changed dramatically over the last few decades, and video games have accelerated in scale and quality during that time too. Rather than games appealing to a small portion of people, now anyone anywhere can play them, which is why the industry has become so enormous. There are so many different stories being told, so many different ideas being explored, and let's remember, importantly, that the amount of women playing games has also grown more and more, and is continuing to do so.
There's a lot of games out there that are for women too, and like even my mom plays like some games now. She plays them mostly on like her phone, but still like gaming's for everyone, and there's a lot of education that comes by with gaming too. People learn like Minecraft coding is teaching kids how to actually program and learn coding, and Python specifically, through the Minecraft game engine.
And no, Animal Crossing and The Sims don't count as gaming. Please stop this. Point being, video games themselves and the gamers who play them come in all forms, and I don't think it's fair to tar everyone with the same brush. With that said, I do understand why some people, some being the operative word, find gaming to be an unattractive hobby, and I think there's a number of reasons for that.
Look, it's fine if like you find it unattractive, and I think it's fine if like you don't like it, but it's not fine to like shame and attack people because they have personalities and interests.
Number one, when most of us millennials were growing up, which is what our friend Liz Wheeler is, we were—
Of course she's a millennial.
Only really then starting to see sort of a shift in the way that people viewed men and video games. Until this point, I think it's fair to say that gamers were largely associated with the basement-dwelling dorks who played World of Warcraft from dawn until dusk. And
look, even if you were that, guess what? There's nothing wrong with you for being that. Like, there isn't.
That view is true or not, whether it's fair or not, that's what was portrayed predominantly in media, entertainment, and by all the kids, all those boys that we went to high school with. I can actually testify to this because I fully remember my older brother sitting in the office all day playing WoW, and sometimes painting Warhammer. I think he still paints Warhammer. To be completely fair to my brother, because, you know, he will probably watch this video, he is in fact the reason why I like gaming at all. And I also remember sitting next to him, watching him play Spyro.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do. Day one, he would install Pi on his computer without spending...
No, he would not.
Because little sister. Now that
Yeah, I used to play a lot of MMOs. Specifically, I was into Mabinogi, and I would spend hours and hours on that game all the time. Like, I really enjoyed playing that. I also play like Grand Chase, Fiesta. I couldn't play World of Warcraft because I couldn't afford the subscription, but I eventually got into like Final Fantasy 14 Online. And, like, I liked a lot of MMOs, and like I played all sorts of other different types of games too growing up. And it's just so weird how like I said, if this is like your hobby and your interest, then that's fine. Like, I don't see these women sitting here shaming like K-pop stans or someone walking around with like Hello Kitty merchandise or Disney merchandise, right? Or who knows, maybe they would be the kind of people to judge that kind of stuff at this point.
Hopefully they would.
about it, I also remember his LAN parties with his nerd friends.
Because if they did criticize those people, at least they'd be a little bit more realistic with how they weigh things.
So really love aging myself there. Anyway, this type of visual and this messaging has definitely been ingrained in a lot of us because it's also what we were exposed to in pop culture. And it's probably why a bunch of elder millennials and people who are older than elder millennials especially view gamers through this lens. Actually, hilariously, when I was researching for this video, I found out that the attractiveness of male gamers and how much they game is still being studied because I guess this is a stereotype that never dies. The second reason, and I think this is more applicable across the board, is it is unattractive to come home to your man sitting on his butt all day playing video games. On the weekends, gaming. All day, gaming. Every single weekend, gaming. Can't pull himself away for long enough to spend time with you or to be a father or a husband or whatever. When it becomes an addiction that consumes you, yes, that is a problem and that is unattractive.
And that is true because sometimes like there is like a fine line with that in any hobby where if you're playing it so much that it becomes addictive and you don't spend a lot of time with like your family or your loved ones, yeah, that's obviously bad. I kind of have some issues with this for like YouTube because I spend so much of my time consuming YouTube content, making videos, thumbnails, scripting, recording, editing, that I don't really leave my office space. And sometimes like I don't spend a lot of time with like my family. Like my mom will just text me saying, hey, I haven't heard from you in a couple days. And it's because I've been recording like 10 different videos for different YouTube channels that I run and then editing and scripting and doing all that stuff. And like, yeah, unfortunately, I am a workaholic and it's not the healthiest thing to do. So does that make me unattractive? Maybe, because like I'm very neglectful because of how much I work, which is why I have my animals. Like I have my dog and my cat, so I'm forced to get up and go take breaks and spend time with them, and I do. I actually do take breaks to spend time with them because my animals are important to me. So trying to find like that balance where if you are just playing games all day and you're not doing like anything else, then I could see that being a problem. But I don't think that's what these girls are mentioning. I think they feel like that about anything.
And this is the primary criticism that I find online when it comes to men and video games.
When my husband and I first got married, he was addicted to video games. So if your spouse is addicted,
it says addicted to video games or sports.
To video games or sports or anything, listen to this.
But the thing is, if your man or a man doesn't have a gaming addiction, then what precisely is unattractive about this interest? At least in my experience, the women that I have come into contact with or that I'm friends with or that are in my family and whatever don't really view a man's interest in video games as a good or bad thing. What's most important is how he balances his gaming with his life and its many obligations. For example, back in 2020, a TikToker called Alyssa Nguyen actually had to come out and clarify that her gamer husband did indeed take care of her and her kids after she began uploading compilations of her bringing him his nightly dinners. She wrote, he does all his chores, daddy duties, and husband duties before getting on.
Dude, that food looked amazing.
One person even asked Nguyen if she was happy with the amount of time her husband gamed. Nguyen responded, it doesn't bother me at all. He plays a couple hours a night after he gets home from a long shift. And honestly, I think this comment crystallizes a broader point. A lot of people, not only men, use video games as a way to alleviate anxiety, to decompress, to de-stress after a long day or a long week or whatever the case may be. And I can actually personally relate to this, and I've actually said this in other videos, where I find nothing more enjoyable after a particularly stressful day than jumping into whatever game I'm playing and just like hacking monsters.
I don't know why, but like I am kind of the same way. And unfortunately, I don't play a lot of games anymore. Ever since I started taking YouTube more seriously, I am primarily just on YouTube and I'm only focusing on like making content, researching. I do a lot of reading now. I read a lot of books. And I just don't have time to play video games as much as I would like to. And it bums me out because I would like to be making more gaming content and just playing games to have fun and relax. I typically take like one time out of the week to play games. So that way I have like Mari fun time for myself because it does help relieve a lot of like stress and anxiety. And like as you know, the saying goes, all work and no play makes a very, very sad person. And yeah, that stuff kind of stands true to this day.
to death. Because it's cathartic, and it stops me from committing murder. That is a joke, Mr. FBI man. I am making a joke. Jokes aside, in addition to being cathartic, it is a good form of escapism. I watched one particular TikTok where a guy was describing escapism in video games as a bad thing, using it as an indicator of depression or a person who hates their life, and that very well
It can be. Is it always? No.
might be the case sometimes. This just reiterates that men yearn for the mines. But again, why do people frown on this type of escapism, but not when it comes in the form of books or films or television shows? I genuinely feel like there's such an unfair double standard when it comes to gaming that isn't equally applied to other entertainment mediums. Yeah, I'm gonna need you all to stop that. In my opinion, the bottom line here is that gaming is, in fact, a legitimate hobby. And I will argue till I am blue in the face with whoever I need to argue with, that many of us ladies would much rather a guy who games in moderation than one who is down at the bar or at the club every single weekend getting drunk.
Which is poison, by the way. Like, when you drink alcohol, you're literally poisoning yourself. So, like, I don't know, man, it's just kind of weird how we shame one hobby but not the other.
If you are a man and you enjoy video games, that does not make you unattractive. And frankly, it can actually be a really nice opportunity for bonding with your spouse or girlfriend. And I say this as someone who freaking loves couch co-ops. Like, I recently played the Untitled Goose Game and it was unironically a lot of fun.
I love that game. It is a lot of fun.
You have to stay away from the platformers though, because I just let everyone down. People who make the claim that game have to recently played with your spouse or girlfriend. And I say this as someone who freaking loves couch co-ops. Like, you have to stay away from the platformers though, because I just let everyone down. People who make the claim that gaming is antisocial and will turn men into murder factories genuinely don't seem to understand the nature of gaming and how community-based and collaborative it often is these days. A lot of modern games have a ton of multiplayer features, and it allows you to do, like, you know, the teamwork. In a time where people are super disconnected, the gaming world is actually pretty great at helping people make friends and create communities. I'll say as well that there are apparently a bunch of other
In less than a decade, AI will be unavoidable, shaping every aspect of your daily life. In fact, it's already changed.
There are measurable benefits to playing games, like improvements to cognitive functioning, problem solving, impulse control, and so on and so forth, but I don't want to get into it, so I don't know, I guess I'll link some of these in the description, and you can read them in your own time. There are definitely way more things to add about this specific topic, but the one that I want to leave you with, the last thought that I have here, is that I definitely think that there is an online trend where people can't stand to see men doing things that make them happy.
Men have video games and sports. What do women have?
I actually see this a lot.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I have games, I draw, I read, I work on YouTube. Like, I'm sorry, but if you don't speak for the rest of the women for saying that, like, it sounds to me like you have a skill issue. You have no personality, no passion, no goal in life. Girl, explore yourself and learn who you are as a person and go try something. Stop being afraid to eat your broccoli. Go try something new.
On Twitter,
you might enjoy it.
In relation to women, where people will post a video of women just doing something fun and silly and goofy and enjoying
and usually that fun and silly goofy thing is them scrolling on TikTok
themselves, and then this onslaught of comments and responses are mad the women are having fun. I see that a lot here with this issue, and I absolutely hate it when people do it to both of the sexes. Just let people enjoy things. Personally, I'm really glad that gaming has become such a positive outlet for so many people. And as far as unattractive interests go, I think it's worth remembering that when it comes to hobbies and relationships, any hobby can become an obstacle, much in the same way that it can also be an asset. If you enjoy something or have a hobby or have a special interest that gets in between you and somebody else, or it is an all-consuming thing that pushes everybody out of your life, well, yeah, I mean, that's a problem. But if you can take an interest or a hobby or a thing that you love and share it with somebody else in an engaging way, or in a way for yourself that passes time but doesn't fill it, I think that's really positive. And honestly, I think that's really all any of us actually want. In the end, if gaming is a thing that you can share with your wife or girlfriend, a thing that you can use to decompress, or even something that has helped you build a really strong community with friendships and positive experiences, no woman in their right mind would consider that a problem.
That's true, especially since, like, I was able to build, like, a community and get to know, like, even, like, all of you who watch this and, like, write to me in the comments. I love reading all of your comments, by the way, but it helped me, like, get to know people more. It was because of video games that I had the courage to want to go and talk to people. Sure, it might be online, and it might be through, like, a camera and stuff like that, but gaming was, like, that gateway for me to become more social. So it's just interesting how, like, the argument is, like, yeah, they become antisocial, when for me, I became more social because of it.
And if they do, I think that says much more about that woman than the gamer himself.
True.
Now, on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out my new Quora using the link in the description. I unironically love this honey, so I'm really excited about this sponsorship, and I hope you guys love it as well if you decide to give it a crack. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is gaming, in fact, unattractive? Are you one of these ladies who just thinks, yuck, I'm not interested, I'm not about this is terrible? Are you a guy who thinks it's unattractive and terrible? Are you somebody who really likes gaming and likes to share that with your loved ones? Are you somebody who maybe is on the addiction side of things and you can see how bad and damaging all of this can be?
It's actually kind of interesting when you think about it.
And yeah, that was that. I still don't get it. There was literally no justification for it. I really don't get it. And Windows is pressuring me to update. My phone is telling me it's time to go to work. I have been working on this for quite a while now. How long have we been streaming? Like an hour and a half or something? So it is time for me to go. We will just leave this like so, and we'll hit save. Did it save? What the hell? I hit save and it didn't. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Well, that's all for today, and I don't know what else to say. I gotta get to work. Bye now.